I still remember the first time I met her. Her heels clicked loudly on the polished floor, her diamond bracelets catching the light. She looked at me, Catherine, and laughed softly. "Where did you get that dress?" she asked, almost mocking. I smiled. I always smile when people underestimate me. I didn't want to cry. I didn't want to show her she had touched a nerve. I simply nodded and said, "It's from a local shop. I like it." But inside, my heart ached. I had been a widow for 10 years, living quietly in a small house, making ends meet with my little garden and occasional sewing jobs. Life had been hard, yes, but peaceful. I never thought someone could make me feel so small, so invisible, just by looking down on me. Little did I know that day in her grand house with its chandelier and sparkling floors would mark the start of something that would change everything. My name is Catherine. I'm 55 years old. I live in a small town where everyone knows each other. I had a modest life and I was proud of it. My late husband, George, and I had built a home together. Nothing fancy, just walls, windows, and memories. After George passed, I tried to live quietly. My daughter had moved to the city for work, and I kept myself busy with gardening, cooking, and helping my neighbors. I liked to think I had a simple, calm life. One day, I received an invitation to a charity event. It was organized by Mrs. Vanessa Linton, one of the wealthiest women in town. Her family owned half of the city. She was elegant, sharp, and, well, she didn't hide her dislike for people she thought were below her. I hesitated. I didn't own expensive clothes. My shoes were simple, my jewelry minimal, but I decided to go. Not to impress anyone, but because I wanted to see my friends, to be part of something bigger than my little home. The evening was dazzling. Crystal chandeliers, polished marble floors, and a table spread with food I could only dream of. And there she was, Vanessa. She didn't just look at me, she examined me, her lips curling into a tiny smile that said, "I am superior and you are nothing." The moment I shook her hand, I felt a cold weight in my chest. She whispered, "You should really consider a new wardrobe, dear." I smiled politely, nodded, and whispered back, "Thank you, I'll think about it." I was polite, I was calm, but I felt humiliated. Still, I tried to enjoy the evening. There were friends, music, soft laughter, and I reminded myself that life isn't about diamonds or silk, it's about moments. The next few weeks, I couldn't stop thinking about Vanessa's look, her mocking tone. She didn't stop there. Whenever we met at town gatherings or charity events, she found a way to make me feel small. Sometimes it was a comment about my shoes. Other times it was a passing remark about my house. I tried to ignore it. Truly, I did. I reminded myself that her opinion didn't define me. But one afternoon, while cleaning my attic, I found something unexpected. It was George's old diary, hidden behind boxes of old clothes. I had forgotten it existed. I opened it slowly. The pages were yellowed, the ink faded, but the words were alive. He had written about me, about our struggles, our laughter, our love, and then he had written about Vanessa. I learned things I had never known. Before we married, George had been invited to one of her family's parties. Vanessa had made him feel uncomfortable, judged him, and laughed at his simple taste. He had written about it, and then about how he had met me, a woman who didn't care for wealth, who valued honesty, love, and simplicity. I felt a warmth spread through me, a reminder that George had always seen me for who I truly was, and suddenly Vanessa's words and laughter seemed small. But then I noticed something else. George had mentioned a mistake he had made many years ago. He had helped Vanessa with a business deal a long time ago, alone, something that had gone wrong. I felt a chill. If she had gained from him once, could she be involved in town affairs that still affected me? I decided I wouldn't let fear rule me. I would live my life with calm strength. Weeks later, the town's social committee announced a new fundraising auction. Vanessa was the main organizer. I had been invited, and I knew she would be there. I prepared myself. I wore my best simple dress, polished my shoes, and smiled. I wasn't going to compete with her elegance. I was going to show quiet confidence. As I arrived, Vanessa was already there, her presence as sharp as ever. She glanced at me, and for a moment I thought she would make another comment. But then something changed. I was calm. I held my head high. I smiled at familiar friends, greeted the organizers, and quietly participated in the event. And then came the auction. A rare painting was up for bid. Everyone raised their paddles eagerly. Vanessa was confident, counting on her wealth to win. But suddenly, the final bid came from someone unexpected, a local investor who had been helping me with a small garden project. He outbid Vanessa, and she lost. I didn't raise my paddle, I simply watched. The room was silent for a moment. Vanessa's expression faltered. She looked at me, then at the winning bidder. I realized then that the life we live quietly, honestly, can still bring us small, beautiful victories. After the auction, I returned home. I opened George's diary again, reflecting on the night. I understood something important. Vanessa's laughter and mockery had no power over me anymore. They were shadows of her own insecurities, nothing more. George had seen my value, and that was all that mattered. A few days later, I received a letter from the local newspaper. It mentioned a donation I had made in George's memory, quietly, anonymously, and the article praised the woman of humility and heart, which made Vanessa fume at the committee for not giving her recognition. I smiled. I didn't need recognition. I didn't need wealth. I only needed peace. In the weeks that followed, Vanessa avoided me. I didn't seek her approval. I didn't respond to her snide glances. I simply continued my life, planting flowers, helping neighbors, and spending quiet evenings remembering George. I realized something important. Life is not about who mocks you or judges you. Life is about living quietly with integrity and heart. Sometimes the world measures success in dollars, diamonds, and prestige, but true success is measured by love, kindness, and inner strength. The diary reminded me that George had always known my worth, and that was all that mattered. I learned to smile at my small victories, a neighbor thanking me for a helping hand, a child admiring my garden, even the simple joy of making a meal that everyone enjoyed. Now, when I see Vanessa in town, I don't feel fear or shame. I see her, and I remember that mockery doesn't define us. Quiet strength does. I often open George's diary and read his words about our life together. They make me laugh softly, cry softly, and remember that love is stronger than judgment. If you're listening to this story tonight, remember something. People will sometimes try to make you feel small. They will judge, mock, and laugh, but their words only have power if you let them. Stand tall, live with quiet strength, love with a full heart, appreciate the small things, because those who truly matter, who see your heart, your kindness, your real self, are the only ones whose opinions count. Life is short, and peace is precious. I found it by remembering love, not by chasing approval. I found it by honoring my late husband's wisdom and living honestly. And now, even after mockery, sadness, and doubt, I can smile. I can laugh softly at life's little moments. I can be proud of who I am and who I continue to become. That night when I found George's diary, my world fell apart for a moment. But in that moment, I also found a new beginning, calm, strong, and full of hope. Sometimes it's not the riches or the applause that matter. It's the quiet heart, the simple life, and the love you carry in your soul.